All right. We are up and running.
Who's counting to?
I'm speaking now.
Is that you, Peter?
That's me.
All right, good job.
Yes.
Thank you.
I see you're all appropriately seated. What?
Yes.
What's the
Why are we seeing us?
Why are we what?
Usually we can see the participants, not us.
No, I should be able to see you.
No, this is.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're good.
We usually can see you too, Peter, so.
Right.
I mean, that's the good part of the meeting, right? We get to
Right.
see each other.
All right, and we do have one guest. Oh, participants, let's see, view, camera. All right. All right, so I'm gonna start the meeting. So welcome to our July 29th, 2024 Harbor Masters Subcommittee of Finance. I am Steve LeBlanc. We have Brian Clark and Peter Feinstein with us. And we also have our chair, Donna Crocker. First order of business is oral communications. If there's anybody on the call that would like to speak under oral communications, you have up to 3 minutes. If you're joining us remotely, there is a raise hand button on your device. So if you want to press that, we'll recognize you, and then you can chime in with your name and address and whatever you'd like to say for up to 3 minutes, at the discretion of the chair. So if anybody would like to speak under oral communications. Let's see. Attendees. All right, we have Alan T. Alan, would you like to speak under oral communications? If not, no big deal. I'm just throwing it out there at you. Seeing nobody likes to speak under oral communications, we're gonna jump to our next order of business, which is election of officers. So this evening is our first formal meeting of our finance committee, and we are going to elect a chairman, a vice chairman or person, vice chairperson, and we are also gonna have somebody be our secretary, take notes. So that way when Leslie can actually watch the meeting. We don't need a secretary, right?
Nope.
Unless we don't have any, I came prepared just in case we had no internet. I was gonna scribble notes down. All right, would anybody like to nominate one of us three as chair? And then we can nominate a vice chair.
Steve, I nominate you to be chair.
Okay. So that you're on roll call, Peter, so we're gonna have to do you're online, so we're gonna have to do a roll call vote. Brian,
I second his nomination.
all right. All right, all in favor,
You're a very popular guy.
Brian, all in favor?
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
I guess if I say no, it doesn't matter, but.
Probably not.
Aye. All right, and then we're gonna elect a vice chair. Peter, would you like to be the vice chair?
Sure.
All right, I nominate Peter.
I second that because you have lots of experience with.
Yes, I agree. So roll call vote, Brian,
Aye.
Steve, aye, Peter,
Aye.
all right, unanimous. Next order of business is, we're gonna look to hire a grant writer to try to find some funding for us. As we know, we are a little short budgeted this year. We're gonna have to try to find some money to try to stop the gap or bridge the gap, actually. So basically, this meeting, we're not gonna solve all the problems this evening, but what it's gonna do is it's gonna get the ball rolling for us for our next meeting. Chris isn't here this evening, so I think at our next meeting, if we ask Chris to be here with some budgeted items, I can reach out to the administration to see who, I know John McCarthy spoke last time at our waterways meeting about a grant writer that the city had used, so I'm gonna reach out
I have
to,
that information now.
you know,
And it came in an email today, so, and the woman, so the woman that, is that person, I don't have anything, but, she wanted to do a Zoom meeting, she sent an email, there, a grant writer, she's the woman that got the money for the safe boat.
Yep.
John, it's nice to meet you, at least virtually. Would you like to jump on a Zoom call later this week or early next week so we can talk about possible grant opportunities?
Okay,
Capital Strategic Solution.
okay,
I don't know how much it costs.
well, that's the thing.
Is this can you give us the name?
Yeah, her name is Jennifer L. Thompson, Chief Development Officer at Capital Strategic Solutions.
Okay. Yeah, we can reach out to her, or Chris can do it, which John's status, is he still,
No, Chris's official start day was today.
oh, good.
Yeah.
We'll have, I'll also, geez, gotta spit that out. I will also reach out to Jill or the administration to see if they have anybody else that they've been using, but I don't have a problem. She got the safe boat for us.
I
Bunch of
think
grants.
this is somebody that,
She was really good.
I think this is somebody that the city uses as well.
Okay,
Well, anybody who works for an organization like Capital Strategic Solutions, if it's more than one person, it's going to cost you more money than somebody who's a freelance.
well, it could be she's a solo practitioner just under capital.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I
But
said.
the name came from the city auditor, Kenny. So,
okay.
So she has a reference.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Kenny's really good. Kenny's one of the best. So if Kenny suggests her, I'd definitely go with it. But let's find out what she costs first before we make, well, we're not gonna make any decisions this evening, but let's see what her fee is, and then,
Can I make one comment on this? Is that, having hired these people before for doing other things, whether you pay her on her on achievement or you pay her as a salary is often a ticklish process. And of course, anything we can put off till a success payment, the better off we are. But you do need to have some regular cash to go back and forth just to keep the level of interest high. But
right.
this both these sound good. The main thing you have to worry about is it takes about 2 years to figure out if these people are any good. So that's often quite the problem. So if we have people who have others to vouch for them in the capabilities, that's a major
Right.
value to us.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, we're not gonna solve all these agenda items this evening. It's just to get the ball rolling. We'll reach out to her, find out her fee structure, and then we'll see what we got in the coffers to maybe get her on to do a couple of things to try to generate some money for the board.
The best thing to have is past experience with people we can call up and check her out.
Well, this committee is not gonna be doing the hiring. This committee is gonna be recommending, and it'll be the Waterways Board and Chris to make
Right.
the final decision. We just make recommendations. So all these subcommittees just make recommendations. So anything we vote on goes to the full board, and the full board will make a final vote. So
we have some control over this person. I mean, they can report to us, or they can show up at our meetings.
If we ask, yes. Depending on their availability. They may not be available for a Zoom or in person, but if we do request something from them, they might send an email. We can give an update where we are. Just because we request them not to be here, they might not be.
well, I mean,
Finalizing
she did
what
say
they're
in her
doing.
email, hop on a Zoom later this week to, talk
Yeah.
about it. So, she can
Yeah.
either show up virtually or.
I just don't wanna, what Peter
No.
saying. And we're gonna have full access to her all the time. It's just gonna be,
No, I look at it the other way around. We just want to monitor her activity. And we're the finance committee, so we should be responsible for that. In addition, she'll have a contract and we should be able to put these relationships and expectations into the contract.
we can recommend what goes into our RFP to hire. Like I said, we just make recommendations. We're not the final say for the.
No, I understand that, but if we don't have standing, then my interest in this committee is will go way down.
I agree, but like I said, we're just recommendations, so we can recommend, it'll be up to Chris and the administration. To
No, I
finalize.
understand this, but we have to be able to.
Oh, yeah, we can
Yeah,
make
but-
recommendations. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. I understand she's not gonna work for us, but it's important that she works for somebody. And the only body that has finance in it is us. So we have to have some control, some oversight on this relationship. It
Yes.
doesn't have to, that's all. But
I agree.
I like things in writing, and I like to have expectations set.
So why don't we, you seem to have a little bit more knowledge on hiring grant writers, so why don't you come up with a couple little of things for our next meeting that you can suggest that we put into the hiring process, and we'll run it by the harbor master and he can take the ball and go with that. So that way, at least we have recommendations on some of the things that we want out of our finance committee. So, like I said, Peter, you seem to have a little bit more in the financial world than I do. So
Compliments will get you everywhere, but I think this one I want to keep my head down.
Mhm.
I was like,
yeah, if you can write up a couple bullet points that you would like to suggest, I'm all for it.
Donna, can you aid me on this? Make sure I say things that are meaningful.
Always, we all will.
Well, if we can set up a time to Zoom with her, you can be in on that call, Peter.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to you first, just to make sure that,
Sure.
I mean,
Okay.
since you're running the whole shooting match here, that we'll make
Yep.
sure that you're happy with what I come up with. Saves time.
Okay.
Saves time to get it right the first time.
Yes, I agree. All right, so we have a name for a grant writer. We're gonna reach out and see where we can go. And I'm just gonna keep reiterating this. We're not gonna solve all these issues tonight. We're just getting the ball rolling on all these. Next item is fee structure of transient moorings. I think not only transient moorings, I mean, we did the day passes recently, the coupon book. When's the last time we did the boat ramp? It was last year, right? We raised the boat ramp price. mean, we
So
can't-
we did go up incrementally on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
When we thought we were really flush.
right.
So the issue right now is that the city's general fund has been financing the Waterways Board Enterprise Fund to the tune of about 50 grand
Yeah.
every year. We have to make that up plus a loan on a couple of things that we didn't really know about.
Yep.
So we have, the fee issue may be driven more by a need for incoming revenue rather than, have we done it recently,
Yes, yes, okay.
And I know, was
Karen
it
was
that,
talking about it.
yeah, Bob and who did the up and down the coast kind of look at transient mooring fees?
I don't know.
I did that.
Yeah, so I just met with Chris and John. So they had some ideas around, so you're supposed to have a boat on a mooring for 30 days. And then you can get a special sort of leeway if there's an issue for a year. And then after a year, if you don't have a boat on mooring, it gets taken away. So what they started doing was when people come to them for this 1-year dispensation, they say, we'll give it to you, but we're going to use your mooring for transients. And then, they've also, what we talked about today was, yeah,
Donna, I just put two things I want to correct. First of all, my study was on the rental rate of moorings up and down the coast.
yep,
And secondly, we don't own the mooring, we just own the sticker that goes on the mooring. So
Right.
we don't, in order for us to, we have to
Yes.
be sure that the mooring is safe. And
right.
By,
What happened with this when they, is that in order for them to get their 1 year sort of grace period, is the city will use their mooring for transients, but they have to show the proof of inspection.
so who's gonna pay for Dirk to go down and look at it, things like that?
No, the mooring holder has to pay for that.
Right.
If they don't have proof of, a recent inspection, then they need to get one.
Right, and that's,
So yeah, and so we need to get all this in writing.
yeah,
Right, and the harbor master's working on this now, so the next step on that
good.
was. The next step on that was to work on people that leave town for a month or so, or, that go cruising and leave their mooring empty. Is to have some sort of incentive for them to call the harbor master's office and say, hey, I'm leaving for, a month or 10 days or 3 weeks or whatever. And you can use my mooring for transient, like they get, a few of the tickets for the launch for free, or they
Right.
get, they get some sort of incentive to make that phone call and say, my mooring's gonna be empty for 3 weeks or a month and you can use it.
Are they full, or are we, do we not have any?
We're full.
We don't have any transient mooring?
We're booked
vacancy?
up for the summer.
Really?
Yep.
we have been for a few years.
Huh.
Yes,
So it's like Vacation USA, like I haven't gone on to see how it's like if you're trying to get a campsite or whatever.
Yes.
So the other interesting note on that, and I just left a note on Leslie's desk. To give me an update on annual passes and the books and how much. It seems as though people are buying the books, they're paying $10 a ride.
wow,
They haven't sold many books, but everybody's handing over $10 for a ride on a mooring.
So that's good.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I asked for an
So-
update.
To address Brian's question is a good question. It's normal for boat yards with moorings, excuse me, with slips to rent a slip out to others when you're on a when you leave. But it is also common if you get up down east a little bit. It's standard that vacant moorings are often given to transients. This is before the day of charging money for transients, but so this is standard practice. It's not a new idea.
yeah, I think it's good, we haven't done that before, so that's a good. Revenue stream that we can tap into. We gotta figure out how to. Get the word out there. And get
So there is
people to
some,
cooperate.
we talked about, there's some language things that need to change in the ordinances and the regulations for this to happen.
I mean, I can see I'm trying to think of the negatives of that, is like if I was a mooring holder and then some damage is done to my, to the mooring of some sort, like so the pennants get I don't know.
Yeah.
You can't rush.
Yeah.
That's about the only negative I could see why somebody would say, what if my pennants, the little, floaty tubes that I put on my pennants are ripped off or.
Right,
But I mean, we'll deal with that with a case by case, but we might not want to be prepared for that. It's like,
well, the other downside of it too is where you have a friend or a family member. Knowing you're not gonna be around for the next month, and they decide they're gonna sashay over and hook up. So.
It's
that's
not legal.
I think in that situation, the person's just not gonna call and say, hey, my mooring's empty.
right, they're not gonna tell.
No, that's not legal to do that. You're not allowed to let somebody else use your mooring. When you have a permit, it's for your use. It's not for anybody. You're not for your buddies or your relatives or your brother-in-law to use.
I understand that, but like I say, my Uncle Joe, I mean, this is just hypothetical. My Uncle Joe takes off to Florida or down wherever for a month, and I said, geez, my Uncle Joe's not around for next month, and he took his boat out of the water, and I'm gonna hang out. Like I said, this is all hypothetical. It happens. That's all.
It does happen by mistake. I've done that more often than not, particularly down in Manchester. And But it's not in the document that you agreed to the agreement in renting a mooring from the city or getting a mooring permit. That's only for your boat. It's not for another boat.
Yes. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next, well, anyway, let's finish this up first. So fee structure of transient moorings. And our next meeting too is if you guys want to brainstorm over the next few weeks before we have our next meeting. Some other streams of revenue that we can take a look at. I'm gonna make a recommendation to the waterways, the full board from this committee today. As on our next meeting, maybe we put an agenda item to discuss. What we've done over the past year and what we can tighten the belt on or maybe raise it up. I know Phil has a lot of knowledge, Bob,
Yeah,
Peter, John, they're all working waterfront people.
I think the sort of overlay, the big picture is, you know, where can we squeeze out some additional fees?
Yeah.
I mean, transient moorings is obviously one that, Chris had an idea about, the per square foot fee on floats.
Yeah.
That they cap out at $350 regardless of what size it is, that there may be some room there. It doesn't matter what size boat comes in for transient mooring, whether it's, you know, 60 feet or 20 feet, it's the same fee. So there's definitely sort of a big, what I wanna do, you know, once we get through the season is really look at all of the regulations and ordinance, you know, sort of line by line and
Yeah.
see what language needs to be changed, where we can look at fee structures, really clean
So it could be per
everything up.
foot or something. and
Right,
There's a method
right,
to the madness
right.
and you
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
Yeah,
just plug that in when you're making a reservation and
Right.
it spits out the number.
So I can tell you that that's the norm. So it's based on the weight of the mooring. So if a guy has a 30-foot boat on his mooring, you can't put a 50-foot boat on that mooring. It's just not gonna hold. And vice versa, the tackle for a 50-foot boat probably won't work for a 30-foot boat. So Camden has always had various lengths and fees based on the length in their rental moorings. They have a lot of rental moorings up there.
Okay,
yeah, the idea of the finance committee meeting, taking up that part of the regulation as so over the winter, you know, November, December, January meetings, really looking at the entirety of the
right,
regulation and the ordinance and saying, okay, finance has this section, you know. The other, what do they call it?
facilities.
Yeah, facilities has this section. And then really saying, okay, where can we clean this up? What language
Yeah.
needs to be
Okay.
taken out? What language needs to be added? Because.
Can I comment on that when you're done?
Go ahead, Peter.
Go ahead.
Well, I think, and I don't mean to, be sticking my head into everything on this meeting, but I'll get, I'm vice chair, so chairman of the vice. So we need to have a very good set of expectations that the various people who will be working with us understand. So the committee, the waterways committee has to understand what we're going to do, and the harbor master has to understand what our responsibilities are, and the same with the mayor. So creating a set of expectations is probably the critical thing for us to do in the next meeting, more than actually writing out documents, but to actually figure out what we're going to do and what we're not going to do, and then have everybody sign on to that. So down the road, somebody hasn't said, "Oh, you were supposed to do this, you didn't do it." We said, "Well, that's not our job."
Yeah, well, when we come to that bridge, we'll delegate certain responsibilities to certain members, so that way.
No, it's not to members, it's to the corporation. So it's not to members, it's not to individuals, it's to the powers that be within the city and the waterways board and the harbor master.
Clearly spelled out
Right,
in the charter for the
yes.
city and the waterways regulation,
Yes,
what we are responsible for. So maybe.
I mean, I thought our committee has a pre-existing set of expectations?
We do, yep.
I'll have to look that up. I'm sorry for being
No, I
ignorant.
think what we can do, it's not gonna happen at this particular meeting because we have three really big agenda items and somebody coming in for public comment that's gonna take a while, so there's some language and we have to get a couple of votes in this coming meeting, but I think for the sort of going into the fall and the winter, sort of as a strategic overlay of what do we look like? What do we want to look like? What do we want our words to say? That we could have the beginning of one meeting saying, this is what the Waterways Board is responsible for.
Right.
This is what the harbor master's responsible, this is what the mayor's office is responsible, and this is, it's all laid out.
Yeah.
We'll just make sure it's clear to everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what I mean by delegating is like when we're in this meeting, just like I'm sure the facilities meeting, John was a part of that, and he was probably responsible to go down because he does the dock things and he was looking at, but same with here, is we're gonna look at some fee structures and, you know, we'll delegate to you a certain specific line items to look at to see if we can increase. Same thing with Brian, same thing with myself. So that way the three of us aren't looking at the same thing and trying to come up brainstorm, you know, we'll all three of us come back with the same answers. So we'll delegate certain things to try to generate, or try to tackle each. So we're not all tackling the same thing and running around in circles.
That's a great idea because also that kind of offline work doesn't involve having a meeting with
Exactly.
Zooming and things like that. So that's a big plus, yeah.
And that way you can come back, or Brian or myself can come back and say, listen, I looked at, you know, chapter so-and-so, line item this, we can kind of, we got a little wiggle room, we can increase it. Or if I do some research, or you do some research and say, hey, listen, all the way down to New Jersey, this is what they're getting for between, you know, $5 and $50 to whatever, let's try to make something of it. But that way we'll delegate, so that way we're, like I said, not running in circles or stepping on each other's toes.
And just short of getting a copy of a budget of another large harbor to show income streams, you know, am I correct in saying that the budget, generation of the budget and budget review is completely on the harbor master and he does the budget, right?
Yes.
Right.
In
So,
conjunction with the
okay.
Waterways Board,
Yeah,
we are
so-
actually supposed to be somewhat in charge of.
so that would be my
Harbor
thought is
Master's
just,
office
know,
budget, yes.
to take a look at that, in all the current income streams. So then that would be helpful for me, so then we could just, that's what they do, right? They look, okay, here's all of our income, how can we change this?
Yes.
Right, it's all
It's all public
consecutively,
knowledge.
yeah,
We can
so I can
get
get
it.
that online, I'm awesome, but
Brian's making a really good point. I don't think we can do this in as we go along situation. I think we need to do this right up front and have this, you know, codified in some way so that we don't get called on to do things that we don't want to do and that we don't want to miss out on things where we should have some input.
I suppose I have a question is like, how are we doing anything more unique than just having a budget meeting and look what they're already doing? Where do we stand out as being, providing a unique, you know, something unique to help out? Do you have an answer for that? I mean, I'm just trying, this is my first meeting, I'm just trying to figure
No,
out what's our purpose as far as, are we second guessing the budget? Are we second guessing the
Our
budget?
purpose is either to find money to increase the budget or to cut where we can sustain our.
So budget review.
So where we
The
have-
revenue coming in and the revenue going out.
Fresh eyes for a budget review.
Yes.
What we have been lacking in over the last 5 to 7 years is budget oversight.
Oversight.
Yes.
Okay. We're on the
And
same
that's
page.
why we're in this crunch.
Yeah.
So, I think we will, you know, the finance committee will work much more closely. And especially this harbor master, the new hire,
Yeah.
this is not his area.
Yeah, he's
of
not a cup of tea,
expertise.
yeah.
So we
Yeah.
really need to bring
Yeah,
some.
oversight, that's,
Yeah,
you answered my question, we're
Yeah.
oversight,
Yeah.
we're an
We're
oversight
gonna ask
committee.
why and sometimes how, and like we're doing tonight, we're trying to find fee structures, try to generate revenue. These are the things that we're gonna ask Chris, we're gonna ask Donna to come, and we're gonna try to brainstorm and where the bootstraps of trying to look at everything else around us. I
So I
know,
would like to add to this, maybe to our next agenda or something is. Kind of search our contacts, who knows anybody at another large harbor that could maybe ask some good questions about revenue.
Yeah.
And hey, do you have any creative, I don't know if we know anybody on that level you can have a conversation with.
yeah,
I'm cracking my brain right now, I don't know anybody, but
yeah.
you know, I have some friends in New Jersey that.
When you're on Martha's Vineyard next week, you know.
I know, it's like, how do you guys make money at this harbor?
You know, I'm sorry. They had my friend, they had in the bathroom, at 7 o'clock. They had the bathroom, they closed. You check it out, please, or somebody they calling.
Are you on a mooring?
Listen, okay, my English is regular,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Okay.
Are you on a
No,
boat?
no, you give me 1 second.
What, is this Portuguese?
Okay, you give me.
Comes to the sound. Oh, Donna's out of the room. She has the button.
No, we're having a bathroom issue with a
Possible
a
medical
transient.
Well, he's got his shirt says staff on it. I wouldn't probably,
medical emergency.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go this way.
Somebody's been there for an hour.
Hold on, Peter. Good night, everybody.
no, I'm just laughing at myself because, one of the big things in any city is having some place to go pee. We don't have a Starbucks, so.
Somebody that's been in the bathroom quite a bit, we're just checking on them, just so everybody knows. And I'm gonna
See,
mute,
oh, all right.
yeah, let's get through this first. Brian went in the
Yep.
bathroom. All right, we're back.
Yeah,
Everything's good. There was no emergency. All right, so do we have any other questions on our fee structure and trying to generate some revenue? Our next meeting, like I said, we're just getting the ball rolling on this.
I forgot what those.
So, what we'll do is we'll request some literature and some numbers for our next meeting on this stuff too. So that way we have a little bit more. We just came up with this agenda this evening, so we could have a meeting, a formal meeting, election of officers, and get the ball rolling. Like I said, we're not gonna solve all these issues tonight, so, for our next meeting with the fee structure of transient moorings, I can make some phone calls, and I know Chris probably has an idea of some other thing, maybe Chris can reach out to the other harbor
that's what I was
masters
thinking that.
and just try to come up with things, so I'll put together a small packet for Chris. Send it to Leslie, and hopefully at our next meeting, we'll have a little bit more information than what we're doing tonight. So we're gonna move over to repairs to city-owned docks. I know we went at our last waterways meeting. I know we have some things that are in desperate need. We have a dock closing.
I'm gonna just say this one is gonna end up being, this one's,
The big ticket.
yeah. This is gonna tie into the grant writer.
Yep.
And what the city might be doing, but also, this is gonna be, we're gonna try to make some language changes so that,
So we have a little bit more
there
order
may
down the
not be
dock.
storage on the actual pier.
Little
Yeah.
more order down the dock. I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and we're just.
This is these are sort of the big ticket items, like in conjunction with the city, the Waterways Enterprise Fund and DPW.
Yeah,
How are we gonna tackle $1 million worth of repairs?
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
And just to touch on that, why we need to do that is because we've had fishermen from all over the place come in and start loading their traps on docks and storing them for, what do they store them for? $200, 100, zero, there. So we're not even generating any money from storage. And I know there are some lots in the city that are under chapter 90 that they require marine activity, and they supplement that marine activity with storing traps, fishing gear, stuff like that. But what, like Donna said, we'll come up with some language.
Yeah,
to
this
try
is
to-
definitely, this is,
set up a little more
we'll
structure.
talk a little bit about this at the next meeting, but this may be something that gets referred back to finance.
Absolutely, yeah.
Around this kind of language and maybe generating some revenue from storage, cause with the new laws, they can't get their gear out. The season doesn't open till May 15th. So they're needing to have, places to put gear,
Right,
but we also have to have some order around it.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah, a little more structure. We don't want the wild, wild west.
I mean, we wanna support the commercial fishing industry, but there's gotta be some, we don't have any money to repair the piers where the fishing gear is getting stored.
Right.
And,
Yep.
yeah.
All right, anything else that hasn't been discussed on the agenda that you'd like to bring up, or maybe refer out to our next waterways board meeting, or put on for our next finance meeting?
I'm just gonna, having just talked to Chris, he's gonna do a great job.
Absolutely.
He's gonna do a great job. At some point, he'll get to hire a deputy harbor master who hopefully will have a little bit more, finance,
Yeah.
it's hard to find somebody who knows,
Organizational kind of.
who knows numbers and organization and grant writing, or at least staying on top of that stuff and be able to hop in a boat and go save somebody. But, what he said to me tonight was, I'm gonna get myself settled, I'm gonna really get sort of organized here, John's gonna be on call. And then we'll look at what we need to hire. So he's got his head on the right way.
Yeah.
It's just, I think with the changeover, it's a good time for the Waterways Board and the subcommittees to tackle some of them, the more strategic, high level stuff, rather than, let's vote on raising this, or let's vote on,
Right. Yeah.
it got a little frenetic. Rather than having sort of a clear path, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? What do we want to accomplish?
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's rings true, but we do have a very good administration. We've got a new. What do I wanna say there? Treasurer, or not treasurer, what am I drawing up like?
CFO.
Yeah, financial officer. And then Kenny's always good to fall on too, because Kenny's really good with the state and structured with the state. And I got good relationships with the administration, so I can reach out to them and kind of bang heads. If Chris can't handle something, or I don't have a problem stepping up.
I think we should be able to, I mean, we weren't having meetings every month. I think, we get through sort of the rest of this calendar year and a couple of meetings in the fall, and we may be able to sort of let the harbor master's office next summer, swing their thing without meeting every single month. I just think this
This is
this
critical.
year is gonna be a little critical in sort of setting the stage for the next people that join the board, and some oversight on the budget and helping where we're needed. But we are a regulatory board. We're in charge of the waterways regulation. So,
Yes,
yeah, getting some of that stuff cleaned up and getting a handle on the budget and getting the enterprise fund sort of back flush and up and running is really where the energy needs to go right now.
okay. Anything else before we adjourn? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Seconded, all right, roll call, Brian,
Aye, adjourn.
Peter,
Aye.
Steve, yes. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you everyone for attending this evening, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next Tuesday,
for our waterways meeting.
right?